So as you guys have requested, you wanted me to do a video on how I studied for English, and actually English was one of my top subjects, even though I don't really enjoy it that much. So I'm gonna be going through exactly the techniques that I know in how to best prepare for English assignments and for tests and exams as well. So we'll get into that. Hey guys, Archer here, a second year medical student, and on this channel we learn how to learn so we can be more intentional with the way that we spend our time so we can focus on the things and people that matter to us. There was a lot of comments that I saw on how to study for maths video, so this is the video, here it is. So this one will be a little bit more quick, as you know English is more of a skill and that takes a longer time to develop. And I want to know more about what you guys actually specifically want to know about English, but in this video I'm going to be focusing more so on how to prepare for the assignments and then how to prepare for those tests and exams. But firstly I want to talk about some of the misconception when it comes to English. Now, English has always been a harder subject for me in going through high school. It was something that I was relatively okay at when I started in year 8, but as I got through the years, it got a lot harder and I wasn't so much getting the grades that I particularly wanted. And that led to me in year 9 having to relearn English, essentially, like all my grammar and all this sort of thing as well. But that's when I really started to think about, you know, the purpose behind what I'm sort of analyzing and the author's intention and all of these sort of things that you've probably heard again and again. So I want to bring up some of the issues that people might be finding. Is some people just like, they put in all of the effort and they just can't seem to see how they get the English grade that they want. They really just can't analyze how these themes and techniques are related, and they find that their difficulty. Or some people just find the time investment for working on an English assignment just a lot. And then for when it comes to tests and exams, a lot of people mention, you know, how do I memorize everything that I need to and all this sort of stuff. And I just want to preface that in SACE, where I did English, I did a particular topic that didn't need an exam or test for English, but I had been doing this like consistently all the way up until year 12. So pretty much my expertise would be more so in just the assignments for English, because we had a final assignment, which was like, I don't know, 2,000 words, I think. And you know, that was 30% of my grade for English. So when I talk about tests and exams, these are things that I've personally noted as being very important, but also, you know, what I've found by, you know, speaking to a lot of friends and looking into the science about, you know, how do we best prepare for these English tests and English exams. So that's more science-based, not just personal experience. Really, the biggest misconception people have about English is the approach to it. Most people focus on the techniques and then try and find the themes. But really the general approach to it is you want to know the author's intentions and you know, where they're coming from and this sort of stuff, then focusing on the themes, then thinking about, you know, what techniques are connected to those themes. Techniques are just a way to show that theme. It's not really, you know, the focus is not really ever on the techniques itself. It's all about the themes. And often a lot of people think that mind mapping just straight up doesn't work for English, but that's not how it works, because we know that our brains are all about relationships, and mind mapping is one of those ways that we can visually represent this. So mind mapping is actually a very effective way of planning stuff out for English. Also, I hear all the time that there's so many people who try and memorize essay responses to some English exams, and that's just gonna ridiculously chew up like all of your time, because there's such a large breadth of question types that you can be asked. And even just from that, you know, if you memorize these particular things, you might not be answering the essay question as specifically as you would want to. This is just a kind of brute force way of trying to smash like a, you know, a circle block into a square hole until it just goes through. It will potentially work, but it will take a lot of time. And this comes back to the idea that I've mentioned before, you know, hard work is not just about doing tons and tons of work. It's about being smart in the way that you approach it and using hard thinking. And instead of just messing a huge amount of time on memorizing chunks and chunks of paragraphs and this sort of stuff, you could really just approach a way to be very versatile with any question that's presented to you. And that's what the exam really wants. And let's go through a few of the things when it comes to dealing with these assignments. So the first thing I want to mention is, how can we start to use mind mapping here? Or more importantly, how do we start using inquiry-based learning? When you're starting your assignment, you really want to firstly start with the author and learning everything that you know about them. So you can figure out about why each of these themes are important to them and then important to their audience. How can you relate this back to the author's background? And then you can see the real intentions behind it. And then you can go about identifying your themes. And so what you'll sort of see on a mind map is that you can have the author's background and intentions, and then you can relate those to the themes that you see. And then from there, you can relate these themes to techniques that you see. This is just a very good way of sort of just like very clearly representing what you're thinking about in trying to prepare a response to an essay question. So with inquiry-based learning, then our question is, how do these techniques relate back to the themes. How do these techniques relate to the author's background and influences and perspective? And also with this, you want to be thinking about why is this particular theme important? And when you have the real reason to that, that's what your teacher really wants to see, because that shows your proper understanding and analysis of this. So this is quite useful in planning for a text response. So now let's actually talk about getting the assignment done. Once you have this planning done and you know you have quotes and examples and stuff to show the techniques which represent those themes that the author is trying to portray, what you want to think about is using the FBR method. This is a very effective technique that I actually learned from Ali Abdaal and I still use. Essentially, it's the idea that you know that you will eventually edit your task, so you just have to write one rough draft straight away. And basically what we're saying here is the 80-20 rule again. Pretty much 80% of the work will be done if you just finish this first draft, and then you can spend a lot more time on the editing and finalizing and perfecting it, polishing it, all this sort of stuff to bring it up to that A+ level. So what does FBR stand for? Fast, bad, and wrong with an R. Essentially, this first draft, you want to just like write down everything in the sort of order that you want, that you've planned, onto a piece of paper, onto your Word document or something like that. And it's just basically a rough first draft. This is to make sure that you can smash this out into 2 hours, for example. And so this is obviously using Parkinson's law, which explains that, your work will expand to the time allocated to it. So if you give yourself a week to finish an English assignment, you will take up the whole week to use it. And this is definitely what I found in year 11. And then in year 12, I was able to smash out English assignments in usually one day or the 2 days on the weekend, including my 30% external report, which was 2,000 words and basically, the huge part of my grade. Just because you can feel secure in the fact that you're gonna have a rough, bad first draft, and then you can fix it all up when you go through editing. Make sure again to also know your marking criteria inside out and know what your teacher's specifically looking for. Make sure that everything that you mention and statement is qualified, so you have evidence to support it within the text. And then from there, you want to make it easy again for your teacher to give you marks. You don't want to be writing with like superfluous words and over the top things that just gonna make it hard for your teacher to understand. Let me know if you saw what I did there. Often the best English assignments out there are actually not written in very, 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 very technical language. Another thing as well is if you can get access to past assignments, then you can really benefit off that as well, because you'll see what has consistently got the result. Now with that, it's like Kolb's cycle. You need to spend a lot of time analyzing how did this particular person get an A+ as well? And what can you take away from this to take it into your own task? And I don't mean just like copying their themes or copying their examples. I mean how their thought process and how they thought this was relevant and important enough to actually mention in their text. You want to copy the process, not the result. And another thing as well, if you're preparing for an assignment, one little hack that I have found when doing English assignments is head over to googlescholar.com and basically search up your text. Then you'll probably find some very, very smart person who's probably done a dissertation, PhD, thesis, something or whatever like that on your particular text and detailed analysis on it. And these major themes are going to be unpacked in a way that you probably haven't thought about yourself. So you can use that as inspiration to sort of think about how you might go answering your own essay question. And I found this very, very, very useful for the text that I had seen. The perspective is always quite unique and quite different to mine as well. I might make a TikTok on this. Okay, so this is personally something that I didn't have to do in year 12, but this is actually based off some of the science in how you can really do well in these, high pressure, very fast paced tests and exams for English as well. And, the high achievers who have had these tests and exams often do this. So when it comes to memorizing some of the techniques that you'll need to know, effectively, you don't want to rote learn them because that shows that you don't understand them, and English is all about application as well. It's a skill. So you, again, need to be able to apply inquiry-based learning here to know the importance of these particular techniques. You need to know about repetition, rhetorical questions, all this sort of stuff. And hopefully by now you have a lot of experience in seeing some of the cases where these are used. So this is not usually the issue. And basically it's going to be quite similar to the way that you might approach it with a mind map, but you're not going to have as much information about the author and not as much time to actually draw a mind map. So you just want to think about this in your brain. Think about what are the themes that I see here? Why are these themes important to the author and to myself? And the audience really. And how does this relate to the techniques? Basically, you need to take a look at each sentence that the author has written. Why was it written? What is the point they're trying to get across? What emotions they are trying to portray? And are they trying to make you feel a particular way? And sort of you need to think about as well about how this, progresses throughout the text and how it furthers, the portrayal of this theme, because it's about getting very good at these techniques. It is one thing already knowing these techniques. It's one thing knowing how to use them. It's one thing to know how to master them. And so in order to be able to master these, you want to be using Kolb's cycle again in looking at past paper that you have to do and analyzing very good responses to these. And what can you take away from that so you can do something similar in your next exam, but it might be a completely different question. That's why it's very important to know the thought process behind some of these things. Well, I hope some of that helps. And I mean, if you have any other questions about this, make sure to just hit me up with a comment down below or on Instagram. Thanks guys for watching again. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.